The last presentation, Neville, from Beyond Price, i la ponència que farà Neville és raons per les quals fer que la seva estratègia de gestió d'ingressos giri al voltant del client. L'ajudarà a maximitzar els beneficis. Gràcies, Neville.
Good afternoon. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's 6 o'clock. You've been here all day. You've seen loads of cool stuff. And now there's a guy going to come and talk about revenue management? I promise not to bore you. Actually, revenue management is very relevant to some of the things that we've seen today already. And I would also suggest that if you start putting in practice all the things you've seen today and you have great marketing campaigns and you do lots of things to generate business, you then need to make sure that when that business comes to your hotel, you optimize your income and your profits. And that's where revenue management comes in. I think Albert already presented me at the beginning, so we'll skip that one. What are we going to talk about? I'll try to be brief. I'm not going to talk about numbers too much. You'll be glad to hear. A bit of a definition of what revenue management traditionally is. Then I'm going to talk about customer-centric revenue management, which is something that we do in Beyond Price, which was not possible before, but now that we have a lot more data sources and a lot more information, we can be more precise in our strategies. And I'm going to look a bit about the purchase process. How do customers look for hotels? What do they look for? And how can that influence the way that you price your products? Talk a little bit about digital transformation. It's been mentioned a lot today. Technology can help you to run your business in a different way. And if you ask me where to draw the line between revenue management and marketing, and operations and sales, I don't really know, because they're converging, and technology is helping to do that. So you need the tools to enable you to organize your business in a different way. And briefly, return on investment. Revenue management, including revenue management technology, which is what we do in Beyond Price, shouldn't really be seen as a cost for your hotel, because it's not a cost, it's an investment in you increasing your income. So, there's a classic definition of revenue management. This definition is used in classes and in universities and in books about revenue management. It's selling the right room at the right price to the right customer through the right channel at the right time, the 5 hours. This is the way we've been doing things for a long time. I've been doing revenue management for about 20 years. Starting off with an Excel file, and now, fortunately, we have software to do the boring stuff for us. This is still true. We still need to do this. But in Beyond Price, we started to go a step further. And we're implementing what we call customer-centric revenue management. And this is only possible because now we have access to a lot of data, everything is digital, and we can understand better the behavior of our customers during the booking process. So we need to know and understand the customer, and this has been mentioned a lot throughout the day. There's a lot of data here, and we need to analyze this. From all the customers, we need to identify which ones are the most profitable. Then you need to invest your time and resources in capturing these ones. And you have to make sure that you satisfy their needs better than your competitors do, because we live in a competitive world. And this obviously affects the part of operations. We need to make sure that we generate the best possible customer experience. So what we call customer-centric revenue management in Beyond Price, we want to put ourselves in the situation of the customer when the customer is thinking about booking a hotel, analyze their behavior, understand it, know according to what profile of customer is what they expect and also know the elasticity of the market. Elasticity is the impact that price changes have on the number of sales that you get. If we think about the way you choose a hotel, if you want to go somewhere, you go through a decision-making process. Normally, these days, this decision-making process, you do it online. So, you want to go to a destination, you don't know anything about the hotels in that destination, what do? Normally, you go and have a look online, and the first thing that you look at is price, because you know more or less how much money you're going to spend. And normally, if you don't know the destination, you probably look in an intermediary, an online travel agent or a TripAdvisor or something similar to see what sort of hotels are available. And here you can immediately see the prices. So you need to know whether your price fits in on this page with the other prices. You need to know how much your competitors are charging. It's very important that you know this. Then, maybe you narrow it down a bit. You've seen some hotels within your price range that you're interested in. What do? You look at their online reputation. What are people saying about them? This is also user-generated content, but in this case, this is comments or commentaries about the hotel. What are they saying about you? What are they saying about your competitors? This is your online reputation, and people are talking about your hotel all the time in many different places. Then you might compare services. What do I want? What kind of product am I looking for? Do I need to have a swimming pool? Is it family friendly? If I'm traveling for business, does it have free Wi-Fi? Do I have a desk in my room? This is more related to the objective quality of your product. You have to make sure that they can find this information. And then, probably, as a customer, you're going to start comparing prices. This is a screenshot from MetaSearch. This hotel, fortunately, is pretty good at controlling their prices. This is a very difficult discipline, but as a hotelier, you need to know where your product is being distributed and how much it costs. And ideally, you would like your product to be at least as cheap on your own website as it is anywhere else. So this is the kind of thought process that you go through when you're thinking about making a booking. How much money have I got to spend? Within that price range, which ones do people like? What sort of services does it have? And by the way, now that I'm kind of made a decision, I'm just going to check and see where it's on sale and how much. And if you're lucky, they might go and look at your own website. And here it's very important that your own website is as attractive as possible. And if you can, the ideal is that they book directly with you, because it's probably a lot cheaper for them to do this than to book through a third party. So the process of making a decision, and we can see this online because we have data about the way people behave. You search by price, you compare services, you compare reputation, you do a price comparison, and maybe you consult the website. And we also know, of course, there's lots of studies being done about this, that people spend a lot of time researching their holidays online. These are a couple of different studies. This one was done by TripAdvisor about the life cycle of a traveler. People are looking at least a month before they make their booking. So you also need to be there, and people need to be looking at you. And this other survey was about the number of touch points that people have. In my previous job before Beyond Price, I worked for an NH hotel group, and we did some studies as well. And no country was below 25 in the number of touch points of information that people looked for before they made a booking. And in this study, it comes out at 38, as a matter of fact. Then you have to think that not all customers are the same. This is good. But if they're not all the same, then they don't all want the same things, and their experience is not necessarily the same. So you have to know what the customer expects. They could have a previous experience in this category of hotel, a global personal experience, they're a frequent traveler, they go to hotels a lot, they have been to a lot of different countries, they know what to expect. What are they looking for? I travel on business, and when I travel on business, I need a different thing from a hotel than when I travel with my family. I have a different budget as well. What options are available? What sort of products are there? What information is there about these products? What other experiences can I find? So this is opinions. What are people saying in Booking.com about this hotel, in TripAdvisor, in Holiday Check? Then obviously, what sort of budget do I have? And what sort of return do I expect on this money in terms of pleasure, not necessarily in terms of money? This all adds up to what expectation of quality I have. And based on that expectation, we can calculate what price range a customer is willing to pay in this situation. And this is different for each type of client. Let me just explain this with an example. In Beyond Price, we've tried to measure this. And we've created a metric which we call BQI, Beyond Price Quality Index. And we've tried to marry two different concepts. One is the objective quality of my hotel. How many rooms do I have? What star rating is it? Is it a brand? What's the size of the rooms? How many restaurants do I have? All of the things which are objective, real. And then we mix this up with the online reputation of a hotel. And you could think about this as the quality of my product is the objective quality of what I expect. And then the online reputation is whether, because this is comments of people who have already stayed, whether I met that expectation. So there's an objective and a subjective part here. We can measure all this with data that we get from OTAs and from various different places online. And it enables us to estimate and measure the probability of sale of your hotel. And let me just give you an example here. Here we have 4 hotels. In revenue management, we talk a lot about competitive sets. We always compare ourselves to people who are going after the same customers that we're going after. In this example, we have 4 hotels. They're all 4-star. They have the same quality. They have a similar product. They're in the same location, same room size, etc., etc. And they all cost 100 euros. In this situation, because there's no difference between them, they all have the same probability of sale. One doesn't stand out against the others. If we then say, okay, same quality, so here you have 4 stars, they're all 4 stars, now we've got some pictures, hey, this is good, but they're still similar product, although the style might be a bit different. They're still selling for the same price, but they have a different online reputation. So the score, 9.3, 8.5, 8.6. The probability of sale in this case is determined by their online reputation, because it's the only variable which is different. Same comp set, but now we notice that the variable which changes is the price. They're not all the same price anymore. They have the same reputation, etc., but the price is different. In this situation, what's going to determine the probability of sale of these hotels? The price. Why would you book the 120 euros one when there's one at 100 euros with exactly the same quality, reputation, etc.? Now, we're getting a bit closer to reality here, but still not. These hotels have a different reputation, same characteristics, different services. So this hotel has free Wi-Fi, it has a spa and a pool. This hotel has free Wi-Fi, for example. So there's some difference here in the product. And they have different online reputation, so they have different scores. The probability of sale of each of these hotels can be calculated based on a mixture of their service and their reputation. So every time the variables change, the probability of sale of your hotel changes. In Beyond Price, this is the last example, sorry. Same category, same characteristics, different services, different price, different reputation. Now this is more like reality than the examples I showed you before. And here, when we calculate the probability of sale, it's a mixture of your quality, your reputation, and your price. And this is more like the real world. And we calculate this for our hotels. When we calculate it, it gives us a graph which looks a bit like this. In fact, it looks exactly like this, because this is a screenshot from our software. Here we have the quality of the hotel. This is the index I had mentioned to you before, our Beyond Price Quality Index, which is a mixture of your subjective and objective quality, your reputation and your product. It's a measure over 1,000, and you can see here, this is the quality of your hotel. And up here is the price. This line represents the how much a person is prepared to pay for this quality, according to all of the price elasticity and all the data that we've been gathering. And then you have here the positioning of your hotels. So in this example, this competitor, number 5, has a very low quality, but is also selling quite cheap. Then you have this competitor, which has a higher quality, but is selling at the same price as this one. Obviously, this one's going to get more business. And then we have our own hotel here. So this is your hotel. We have it in blue. And what we can see here is that in this competitive set, our hotel has the highest quality rating of all of them. But we're not selling at the most expensive price. Why not? Revenue management recommendation that we would make from Beyond Price is that you put your price up. And what we actually calculate here is your quality score, your price, and this is your probability of sale in a percentage. So what it's saying here is you've got a 21% probability of sale within your competitive set with the price you have now and the quality that you have. The difference here, and from a revenue management perspective, is that we also have your internal data, and we can see how much demand you have forecasted for this date. So you may not need to sell 21% of the demand for your competitive set. If you don't want to, because you already have a forecast to be quite full, we would recommend that you put the price up, because that will reduce your probability of sale, which is good. You want to reduce it because your forecast is that you're almost going to be full. So this is the relationship between quality and price, how this affects the way that you price your hotel. And we mix this data with your internal data, and all revenue management software look at your internal data, what you did last year, your pickup, what events are on, what's happening in the trends in the last few months. But we add in this additional data, which is a new source of data which can be found online. And this is what we call customer-centric revenue management. So you put yourselves in the position of the customer, in their decision-making process, and this is one of the pieces of data which feeds into our forecasting algorithm. How do you apply this? It needs to be, the customer needs to be at the center of everything in this case. You can use this, obviously, for your business strategy, price, also distribution, which channels do you want to sell on, which ones are more profitable for you, and in the future, your loyalty program. There's a lot of heat at the moment about loyalty pricing in the hotel business, because all chains now sell cheaper rates to their loyalty customers than they do to the public. Maybe you don't need to do that. Once you have more data about the customers, you might not need to do it all the time in the same way. You need to put the customer at the center of your strategy in this case. And I mentioned this before. Using technology of revenue management takes away all the boring stuff that you had to crunch numbers and make huge Excels and write formulas, because the systems do it for you. And they do it for you analyzing a lot of data. We talk a lot about big data, and it's true that there are much more data sources than we had before to help us to make our forecast and our price recommendations. A revenue management software should take all this data, crunch it, and give it to you in an actionable form so that you can take actions on your strategy. So we call this smart data. Take the big data, put it into the magic mixer with the secret algorithm, and smart data comes out the other end. And this enables you to make decisions much more quickly. Big data, we have lots and lots of data sources. We feed it in to a revenue management software, because we're talking about technology this afternoon. This has been briefly touched on before, but revenue management softwares also use machine learning now. This is the big change in the last 5 or 6 years in the way that forecasting and price recommendations are arrived at. And the forecasting algorithm learns from what happens in your hotel. This is really a huge advantage about the way we worked before. When I started 10 years ago, we had revenue management software in Beyond Price, in H Hotels where I worked. We had a revenue management software in 2006, but it didn't do any of this stuff. It was just an automated version of my Excel, more or less. But this enables you to take decisions in real time, and it enables you to adapt each and every hotel independently, because the machine learning learns for each hotel. And this should help you to manage your business differently. How does it help? You spend less time extracting data. Extracting data is very boring. It also has the risk of manual error. So if you can avoid this, it's much better. And in fact, you get better information. You get information in real time. It's not old. You can get information on your competitors' pricing in real time. You can get information on the number of sales that are coming into your hotel in real time. And this will automatically be fed into the system, and the system will automatically give you recommendations and give you forecast and recommendations on your strategy. And what does this do? This enables you more time to think about what you really want for your business. So the day-to-day, the tactical, the pricing, the yield strategy is given to you by the software. And then you can really think, what does my business need in order to be sustainable in the long term? And at the moment, we don't have any software for that sort of stuff. But what used to happen is that revenue managers spent so much time extracting data and analyzing it that they didn't have time to think about this. And this is the big change in the way you run your business, that software will enable you to think about what your business needs in the long term. And by that I mean, what sort of segments do I need? What sorts of feeder markets do I need? How am I going to get them? And then we enter into the marketing part and the sales part. But often, hoteliers don't have time to do this. I'm amazed when I speak to people about the little time that is dedicated to the long-term strategy of their businesses. And this is something that with software you can change. This should make your decision-making easier, and I mentioned this before, but I strongly believe this. The strategy of your business is not the property of any one department. Marketing should be involved. Marketing is often based on the customer viewpoint, the B2C. Revenue management is focused on what the hotel needs. Operations make sure that you meet that operational promise. Because if you create a great expectation and you don't fulfill it, your online reputation is going to go down here, it's going to affect your pricing strategy, it's a vicious circle. And obviously sales. Sales many times is looking for the B2B angle, so which segments are coming in here. The strategy is the mix of all of these things. And as I say, in the last few years, all of these 4 areas operated completely independently of each other, which is not good. And we're seeing these converging now. And in marketing, for example, pricing, is this marketing or is it revenue management? I'm not sure. Who creates products? Why are they created? Who has identified this need for products? How do we talk to people with on our website? The sales dialogue? Who's in charge of that? This is a reduction of the silos in a company and pulling them together. And if you have all the data that you need and you can consult it at any time and you can let all of these people see the same data, it transforms completely the way you make decisions. Much quicker and much more consensus. And this is something that we really believe is already happening but needs to happen more. What do I mean by this? One tool for all departments. In my previous position, I worked for a big chain, and we used to go to meetings and sit down, and each department would pull out a report with some numbers on, and all of the numbers were different. It was very frustrating and very common. If you have one tool that can give you all the numbers, and you can give people access to it, because, hey, why not? This problem doesn't exist anymore. You could also have all your data in the same place. I haven't really mentioned it today, but a revenue management system pulls data on your competitors' shopping, how much they're charging online, what your competitors' reputation online is, whether you're observing price competitiveness, because we're not allowed to say parity anymore, and many sources of data. Instead of having them in separate reports, you have them in one place. This really helps you when you're analyzing and deciding what to do, to see it all in one go. And this makes your meetings much more efficient and shorter. So there's a real transformation of the way that you should run your business if you have technology which helps you to do this. Then I mentioned that I don't believe that a cost of a revenue management software should be seen as a cost. It's an investment. But we have seen this in our customers. There are 2 types of return on investment when you invest in this kind of tool. One which we would call financial, which is that you see increases in RevPAR, generally, and sometimes quite significant increases in RevPAR. And also what we call organizational return on investment. So your organization becomes more agile, more efficient, and more strategic. Because at the end of the day, revenue management is not numbers, it's strategy. And this is something that really you should bear in mind. And having said that, if you want to know some more, I'm happy to talk, and please feel free to get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Neville. Una presentación muy interesante. No sé si me dan tiempo para tener temps per alguna pregunta. ¿Sí? Any questions? ¿Alguna pregunta de la sala? ¿No? Yo tengo una para ti, Neville. ¿Cuál es el perfil del Revenue Management, teniendo en cuenta este tipo de herramientas?
The profile of a revenue manager has changed significantly in the last few years. 10 years ago, it was the typical freaky in a dark room with an Excel typing away and not speaking to anybody. This has now changed radically. It's very important now to understand technology because of all the things that we've seen. And it's extremely important to be able to communicate. And this is something that we did wrong before. There's no point having a fabulous strategy that looks beautiful on a PowerPoint and in your mind if you can't communicate this to the people who need to implement it. So communication has become very important. Online savvy has become more important. Commercial mindset. In the past, revenue managers and salespeople used to really rub each other up the wrong way because the revenue manager didn't understand what the clients were saying to the hotel. So it's really a very different profile from what it was before. And it's always needed to be analytical, and this will always be the case. And now that we have more data, you need to be very analytically rigorous, but the communication and the commercial part is equally important these days.
Okay, thank you. Una pregunta més? Doncs donem per conclosa aquesta tercera sessió i crec que ens informaran dels següents passos. Moltes gràcies a tots. Merci. Gràcies, Iro, Dan, Christopher i Neville.
Doncs moltes gràcies al moderador, el senyor Albert Grau, i també a tots els participants d'aquesta tercera sessió. Només recordar que tots aquells que s'hagin inscrit amb anterioritat al còctel de benvinguda sopar que es farà a partir de 8:45 a Caldea i Nu, doncs poden assistir-hi, que demà ens tornem a trobar aquí a les 9 del matí per iniciar la quarta sessió. Esperem que hagi estat del seu agrat i que hagin disfrutat d'aquesta primera jornada de la 10ª edició del Congrés de Turisme de Neu i de Muntanya aquí a casa nostra, a Andorra. Bona tarda.